Hello, my name's Diane Dever, and today I'm going to be joined by Rhiana, and we're going to take our own tour of some of the artworks that make up Folkestone Triennial 2025. The great thing about the Triennial is you can design your own tour and take in the artworks in any order you like. But today we're starting here at the lighthouse on Folkestone's harbour arm, and we're going to wind our way through the harbour and end up in the heart of the creative quarter. So this is a work by Dorothy Cross, and Dorothy is an Irish artist, and it's called Red Erratic, and it's a large red marble block, and it sits between land and sea. Human feet are carved on top, perilously balanced and overlapping, and the stone comes from Syria, a country shaped by migration and conflict. Its name erratic comes from a word used to describe a rock moved by a glacier to a new place. The work invites us to think about place and displacement.
The thing that strikes me first is this idea of movement, of like people moving collectively and like sort of protecting each other as well. I'm really interested to see how the piece changes with the water and how the environment interacting with the rock is going to change over time. And the detail in the carving of the feet is so beautiful. And I think with the water potentially eroding it, it would be super interesting to see the change over time, depending on how long it stays there.
So this is Laura Prevost's work, and in some ways you can see the inspiration really clearly for this piece of work, the cormorants that live on these concrete structures. And you can see perched on the dolphins is a striking hybrid bird with three elongated heads, poised between sea and sky. And the bird becomes a symbolic guardian of thresholds. Each head extends in a different direction, out to sea, into the land, and to a stranded baby perched on the other concrete structure. And the work prompts us to consider or reconsider how we live. If we could all float and migrate freely and reimagine our relationship to the world. And something I really like about this piece is it contains a kind of sense of what was and what is and what could be, so this past, present, future. And that's quite fitting for this location, you know, its past use as a mediator between people coming and going, and its sort of present heyday, and then, you know, what's coming.
The thing that strikes me the most is the hybridity of the sculpture, the fantasy element, and this imaginary kind of strangeness of the creature, and the way it kind of prompts you to think of different realities and different ways of being and the different possibilities of like creating what kind of future that we want.
So this is Folkestone in Ruins by J. Maislish Mole. To make this seemingly straightforward map, the artist collected descriptions and place names from old books and maps, and then scoured the land on foot, looking for traces of everything he'd read about. Most of its features have vanished, been transformed, forgotten, or devoured by time, but we still walk among them every day. This is an act of upside-down archaeology, and Mole's map makes the invisible visible. So this looks like any map that you might see somewhere, but actually the minute you start to zoom in, you can see that he's layered different times across different places.
Yeah, I think you could spend so much time just looking at it. Like there are so many little details. The kind of layering of time is super interesting to me, to be able to see places that I recognise now and like places that I live and I visit, and then see these kind of stories from however many years ago layered on top of it, and just kind of zooming in and then kind of making your own little journey up the streets that you know. It's kind of sort of, yeah, making the journey yourself and being able to see the things that he's researched and explored.
This is the Ministry of Sewers, and it's by Cooking Sections. And it falls to me to welcome you to the UK's first Ministry of Sewers, which is now open for coastal complaints, aquatic rants and all your sewage stories. It's housed in Folkestone Harbour's old customs house, and this is where dodgy water bills, banned beach days, sick seals and suspicious rashes finally get attention. So bring your evidence for the display and help draft a cleaner future. The way this artwork is made is by way of inviting the public to come to the ministry, to meet the minister and to log their grievances. And so for the duration of the triennial there are 6 ministers in total, so there'll always be a minister here, and that minister will be there to hear your grievances, to log them officially. And the intention behind that official capturing of evidence is that there are a team of lawyers that Cooking Sections are working with the ambition of actually building an evidence case to draw attention to the malpractices that are happening within our sort of water industry.
From seeing some of the other works in the triennial this year, talking about our relationship with the land and the sea and being in a coastal town in these like very different and imaginary and kind of metaphorical ways, but then having this which feels quite grounded in some really tangible action potentially happening around issues that face local people, having a place to actually log those things. It feels like a really good balance of having that within these other artworks, and actually there's also this place where you can have your sort of voice heard and maybe some sort of really tangible action could come from it. I think that's really cool.
So this is Celine Condorelli's work, and it's called Dedication to the Sea, to the Sea. And they are a series of flag-like sculptures that borrow maritime symbols to mark the journey from the town to the sea, and of course it goes back again. And they're in celebration of the people that spend their lives on the water or in the water. People that swim, fishermen, people that life save, and of course all of the animals that live in the sea. So there are these really playful and beautiful pieces.
The way that technology has really overtaken the way that we navigate, especially for me, I think, technology, Google Maps is the way that I get everywhere, but actually embedding this tangible, physical way to point people towards the sea is really nice and really accessible and also playful and not out of place. When I came, I was walking up this way with the backdrop of the old high street and the kind of colourful kind of foreground leading up to it. I feel like it fits really nicely. It feels like part of the town already.
So this is Prospect by Sarah Wood, and this dreamlike film revisits unused footage from the garden, a film by artist and activist Derek Jarman. It places this alongside a new voice, reflecting on Jarman's life and art and home at Prospect Cottage in Dungeness. Jarman created beauty and community in a time of crisis. He lived openly, made work with urgency, and built a garden on the shingle that still exists today. Prospect honours this spirit. There's another additional element to this work. What look like tools, and you can imagine tools for Jarman's gardening, but actually it's Wood who has borrowed these ideas from another 16th century alchemist, an astronomer and mathematician called John Dee, who divided the universe into earth, fire, water, and the elements. And they just add something extra to sort of be curious about.
I really like the kind of dream-like approach. I know obviously of Derek Jarman and I've seen a couple of his films, but it actually makes me really interested in visiting Prospect Cottage and having a look at the garden and being able to see that the work he's done and the way that he's inspired so much. And I really like that it's the place that the film is being shown is based on Prospect Cottage, the way that it looks as well. And also the way that the filmmaker Sarah, has interpreted it.
Thank you for joining us on today's tour. I've really enjoyed walking around the town and discussing the ideas behind the artwork. So why not be inspired to do the same? Pick up a guide from the Quarterhouse, get your friends and families together and go and take your own tour. And if you want to know any more information about the artists in this year's How Lies the Land, then you can head over to Creative Folkestone's website.